Tea Party Boot Camp Radio on 940 KYNO, where liberty and reason rule.
And welcome back to Tea Party Boot Camp Radio. I'm your host, Steve Wayte, and Curtis Willie is with me. I mispronounced his name going into the break. Sorry about that, Curtis.
It's okay.
So what do we got going on tomorrow? March for the troops, I believe.
Yeah, so on President's Day, the February 20th on Monday, there's a national event in D.C. They're marching from the Washington Monument to the White House. Once they arrive to the White House, they're turning their back on the White House, and they're doing a salute for all the troops that have lost their life. And so it kind of inspired some local activists here, and we started chatting about it. And we said, you know what? We need to bring this fact to our local doorstep, and away we went.
Well, and I think it's kind of tough being on the West Coast, and I've run into this quite a bit. There are a lot of events that they had that 9/12 event back at Washington, D.C. The Ron Paul's had multiple events, and it's really hard from a travel standpoint as a California boy to get out to Washington, D.C. every time. I mean, I'd love to go to the Tampa Republican Convention, but hey, times are a little tighter than they were 4 years ago when I got to go to St. Paul in 2008. So we're gonna stay home and watch it on TV. But I love that the West Coast is getting involved in this, and so we're gonna start at Buchanan Memorial Stadium.
Correct. We're gonna start at 12 o'clock. Feel free to meet there earlier at the Veterans Memorial Stadium. We have a table out there. We're gonna have information. People are bringing out DVDs, pamphlets, just for people who may not know that much about Ron Paul, and we're just going to spread the message. And the point of it is just to reinforce that Ron Paul receives the most campaign contributions from all active duty military members than all other candidates, including Barack Obama combined. So.
Yeah, and I don't think people really understand that. When you fill out your election reports, generally it will ask you who's your employer. And people that identify themselves as employers of the United States military give Ron Paul by far more money than all the Republicans put together, and even more than Barack Obama, who promised us all hope and change. I believe he is the first Nobel Peace Prize winner to invade 3 countries. So, we're doing a real good job there. Yeah, Clint, you had something to say because you are a veteran. You served. Mm-hmm. You're going to be out there tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm going to drop by.
Okay.
I'm going to drop by. Maybe the question that I have for you is why? Why do active duty military people give to Ron Paul?
Well, I would say that it's because he's willing to follow the Constitution and actually have wars declared. I mean, we have not declared war properly since World War II. We're technically still at war with Korea. Mm-hmm. I mean, my uncle was shot in the spine, paralyzed from the waist down in Korea. He's been dead for 30 years. But we're still at war with Korea. Mm-hmm. So, these are the types of things that we get into when we don't declare wars properly. They become rules of engagement wars. You can't shoot until be shot upon. And, like Rush Limbaugh says, war, there's 2 things that happen. You kill people and break things. Mm-hmm. And we don't go to war to win them anymore. We go just to, I guess, be occupiers. I don't know. What's your opinion, Curtis?
Yeah, I feel the same way. Is that... Nick Cozone and myself, we've been organizing this, and we were out. We actually took a little trip to Old Town Clovis today, and we went into all the stores, and we were dropping off this flyer, and we got a fantastic response from every owner there. They grabbed tape and put it up on their windows right away. This area is very fond of their veterans, and very fond of their service members. And we got in a conversation with a gentleman, and he asked that very question: is why do the troops support Ron Paul? I said, well, that's easy. It's his foreign policy. You wouldn't think that if you were listening to the television shows. They think his foreign policy is dangerous. But ironically, his foreign policy is the very same foreign policy this country is founded on. And people love our country since it's been founded. So,
and that's what always frustrates me with the Ron Paul people that are anti-Ron Paul people. I don't, and I'm not here. I don't keep it in the closet. I'm a Ron Paul supporter. I'm trying to just spread the message of liberty. I'm not trying to get you to vote for Ron Paul. I'm just trying to get everyone to understand it a little bit. And what is so funny is if you put down on a position paper Santorum and Romney and Obama and Gingrich, you're probably going to check our 3 or 4 things off that you don't agree with those people on. But Ron Paul, they agree with just about everything except foreign policy, but that one check on foreign policy is enough to drive them away. So you'll go and vote for somebody that you only agree 70% of the time on, but Ron Paul, you agree with him 90% of the time on, except his foreign policy. And I don't think, I wish I had that queued up, because when Benjamin Netanyahu came and spoke to the Congress last year, he stood up in front of our Congress and said, we don't need your foreign aid. We don't need your military. We don't need you to make us a democracy. We already have those things. We want you to be an ally. And it was Ron Paul back in 1983 when the Israel bombed a suspected nuclear facility. He was one of 4 people to vote to not condemn Israel. The rest of the Congress wanted to condemn Israel. Well, who's more pro-Israel? The gentleman who has to get the wink and the nod to bomb, or the gentleman that says, hey, it's your part of the world. If you feel threatened, defend yourself. I think that's the proper policy.
Well, isn't it Ron Paul who says that foreign aid is money that's taken from poor people in rich countries and given to rich people in poor countries?
And that's what foreign aid is. So.
Yep.
So what else, Curtis? You got any speakers for this event, or what are we going to see if we come out there tomorrow at noon?
This is really just a grassroots organization. We have some veterans, some local veterans that will be leading the march. We're going to end it at the Memorial District. Shortly after there, after we arrive, we're going to do a moment of silence right in front of the Veterans Memorial District. And, hopefully just spread the message of liberty. We do have a event page. It's on.fb.me/March for Liberty. Go check it out. There's a lot of people. And also thanks to George Benitez for designing this flyer. He did a fantastic job just conveying the message that the troops support Ron Paul, and let's support the troops by supporting their choice.
Why don't you go ahead and give that website one more time, because that's a funky one.
Yeah, it's on.fb.me/March for Liberty.
March for Liberty.
And I don't want to interject something at the end of the program that's going to make people feel bad, but I think it needs to be said. I think that between 2005 and 2010, there were just as many suicides of troops, more troops, or just as many troops took their own lives than were lost in combat. And this I lay at the door of President Obama and both houses of Congress. And the foreign policy that doesn't change no matter who the occupant of the White House is. I think it's sad. I think it's very tragic, and I think very regrettable. And if you do support the troops, this is an event for you.
Yeah, and especially with the Buchanan High School losing so many children over there in Iraq and Afghanistan, it's really tragic. Well, I just wanted to do some housekeeping here. Remember, we have our debate February 22nd on Wednesday out in Madera. That's for the Assembly 5th and the Congressional 16th. Also, you can join us at our Tea Party lunches. That's every Tuesday at 5070 North 6th Street, suite number 169. And please stay tuned to KYNO at 1:45. We'll be playing the Fresno State versus Butler game, and that's a little bit pregame at 1:45, and then the game will start at 2:05. Thank you very much for listening to Tea Party Boot Camp Radio. Have a fantastic weekend.
I'm ready to play today. Look at me, I can be so moving cold. I'm ready to play today. Put me in cold. I'm ready to play today. Look at me, gotta be Centerfield.
We can't change history. We can only improve on it. KYNO Fresno is now the new 940 KYNO. Live talk radio.
Fox News Radio.